Guys, welcome to my page and channel. And today we have preparation of Alkanols. And the popular among the homologous series of Alkanols is Ethanol. And we all know that the formula for ethanol is C2H5OH, or some people might write it CH3CH2OH. So this is ethanol. So what we are going to do today, since we have known how to classify Alkanols as primary, secondary, and tertiary, and some of the few homologous series or members of Alkanols, then let us see how we can synthesize or produce Alkanols, example, ethanol, from the laboratory or from the industry. So today, our material we are going to use in the synthesis or the preparation of ethanol, which is the popular amongst them, is we are using potato, that is pieces of potato. Some people may decide to use cane sugar, and some people may decide to use cassava. Any raw material that will give you starch can also be used as a starting material in the production of ethanol. So let's see how we can use potato to produce ethanol. The first stage is to superheat the pieces of potato to steam. When you superheat the pieces of potato to steam, what we are trying to do is to extract the starch. So let us see the equation for the first stage. The first stage, number one, is heating pieces of potato. We are superheated to steam. Then to extract starch, C6H10O5. This is the formula for starch. Then after this, the second stage is the acid hydrolysis of the starch. The acid hydrolysis of starch. And this starch undergoes hydrolysis, which is acid hydrolysis. The starch undergoes acid hydrolysis. And what happened here in the acid hydrolysis, we are using dilute H2SO4. Dilute H2SO4, what happens here? Then this starch or this polysaccharide is converted to the compound known as Maltose C12H22O11. This is known as maltose. This is known as starch. So when the third stage, what happened in the third stage? In this case, we are going to introduce the yeast. When you introduce this yeast contains two enzymes. The first enzyme is known as maltose, and the second enzyme is known as Siemens. So the first that will react is the maltose, and the second one is the Siemens, which is the last, alcoholic fermentation. But first of all, let's see what happens when the enzyme known as maltose reacts with this maltose. Don't get it twisted. So the third stage is the maltose. We have the yeast. And now yeast contains two enzymes known as maltose and Siemens. The first one is maltose. Let's see what maltose does. And maltose will convert this disaccharide, which is maltose, to two molecules of simple sugar, glucose. This is glucose, or you can call it simple sugar. It's a simple sugar. Both glucose, fructose, they are simple sugar. So the maltose converts, the maltose to two molecules of simple sugar. Okay. Now, what happens next? And the last stage, or the fourth stage here, because it is not the last stage in the alcohol production. So, the fourth stage is where the enzyme known as Siemens comes. And this Siemens is under alcoholic fermentation of the simple sugar C6H12 or glucose for about 3 to 4 days. This last reaction occurs in about 3 to 4 days. We call it alcoholic fermentation in an open air. you will leave it in an open air. You will not cover it. Open air alcoholic fermentation. So in this case, the glucose C6H12O6 undergoes alcoholic fermentation under the same yeast that contains Z-mase. Now, to give us ethanol plus carbon 4 oxide. Remember, this carbon 4 oxide given out here is like a gas effervescence. When it is given out, which means it may have evaporated, right? Yeah. So what is remaining here is just ethanol. But this ethanol also contains amount of water. So what then do we do to remove the water from ethanol, or to make this ethanol pure, ethanol with about 98 point something % of alcohol? So what we do is we use calcium oxide to extract water present in the ethanol, and this ethanol will undergo distillation in order to produce pure alcohol. So this is just the simple chemical equations on how ethanol or alkanols can be produced using starch as a starting raw material. See you in my next class. Bye-bye.